Ooh, there is a pretty good chance the glorious train wreck dumpster fire that was the Oz versus Fetterman debate very well might be the most catastrophically disastrous debate ever aired in all of human history. And I'm not saying that with a hint of an exaggeration. The 6-foot-tall plus lump was, and I mean this literally, unable to utter even a single sentence without sounding like a brain-damaged sack of spuds, as he would blurt out a bunch of insane babble one would expect from a child, never mind a full-grown adult. I think it's safe to say anyone in the media who even gave a split-second thought to justifying that thing's credentials for the US Senate, you can instantly disqualify them from having a soul, as this event showed not only the Democrats' depraved lust for power, but also how pathetically low they will stoop to get it. No sane person watching that would think that Neanderthal is fit to be near an open flame, let alone near a seat of power in Washington. But Fetterman's medical misfortunes, and funnily enough the debate as well, is the perfect analogy for the Democratic Party. The big clumsy sack that he is represents the policies, the stroke represents the implementation and the effects of those policies, and Oz, or frankly any Republican for that matter, represents the iron fist of reality, which is why every debate so far results in Democrats getting their faces caved in. Which leads us to this amusing article by Politico. Democrats debate themselves, why do we suck? Now, I'll give you 5 points for asking the question, but I'll instantly duck 10 because you idiots will never admit you're wrong, let alone learn why. No need to read the article, seeing as I, not to sound too conceited here, can explain this intricate dilemma in a much more articulate and frankly honest manner than a bunch of sociopathic miscreants who don't live in the real world. Now, I am not American, if the accent wasn't already a dead giveaway. However, I know enough about America and her concept to understand her philosophical upbringing, so to speak. If you read the words of the poem, give me your tired, your poor, your hungry, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The key word there being free, written on the Statue of Liberty. The US was built as a nation of liberty, not one of suffocation through the never-ending growing hands of the state. The government sucks at everything. They will exploit problems as justification for draconian policies, or they will create problems to justify draconian policies. Like Michael Mattis said, the fundamental problem of the state is its existence, which is a threat to liberty, and leftism, which is what powers the Democrats, is therefore a threat to your liberty. Think about it, can you name a single leftist idea or policy that does not involve the growth of, reliance on, or intervention by the state? No, because that's their solution for every problem. The more the state grows, the more incompetent and cruel it gets. We've seen this for literally centuries of human histories. Thomas Jefferson noted this: government grows, liberty yields. The last century especially is a testament to the capacity of great evil of the state. It's riddled with blood and bone, a true testament to its wickedness. The creatures in Washington, then, do not care at all about your problems. They are hopelessly corrupt and have their own agenda, one that is at your expense. Their goal is to enrich themselves through the public apparatus, and they give no qualms about who they harm. Why would they? They live in Washington with a wealthy pack of donors and lobbyists. Which brings us to the real problem. Democracy, which, given how America's political class are mere muppets propped up by the rich, is just another rampantly corrupt oligarchy. Democracy will never exist. Like Mulbuck points out, explain why democracy is good but politics is bad when they're synonyms. And I've pointed this out before. Humans are terribly apprehensive when it comes to politicians who shift on policy positions, which is fair enough. They're deceitful and power-hungry, sociopathic with no morals. And yet humans are not very static. They change thoughts and opinions based on circumstance. However, if a politician who represents these people were to be consistent, they would naturally have to change their position as well. This is not a flaw of democracy then, it's a feature. However, this basic aspect of learning has perilous pitfalls in the world of politics. If they change first, they look like they're going against the will of the people. If they change too late, it looks like they're ignoring the will of the people. If they shift too quickly, they look like they're trying to take advantage. So what exactly is the optimum time for a politician to shift positions without it looking like political expediency? Couple this with short and long-term incentives or punishments and you're adding fuel to an already stupid fire. For example, say a representative who can pass something that doesn't benefit him now but will benefit him later when they're potentially out of office. There's very little reason for them to follow through with such a policy. They'd more likely follow through if you reverse the incentive and delay time bombs, passing something that has a political win now, but the catastrophic damage to the country later. Because why would they care? They're out of office already. Which brings us to further problems. If you want power and your constituents are complete idiots who want you to pass things that are dangerously stupid with long-term damages that will only play out years down the line, that's got a pretty good chance of getting passed, a win for now, someone else's problem down the road. If they don't do the stupid thing the constituents want, they won't get elected or re-elected. There is no accountability in the system. You can vote people out, sure, but those responsible for the hell they caused do not get punished beyond being removed from that capacity and power. But many people will still be in the public sector in one form or another, nor will it stop the next person from doing the exact same stupid thing again. Which brings us to the left's policies, which logic, common sense, data, and history has shown to be a catastrophic failure over and over and over again. Look at America's politics in the last, say, 120 years. Damn near every brutal electoral massacre is delivered as a rebuking of democratic policy. The exception to this rule, funnily enough, was FDR, who ran against the interventionist policies of Herbert Hoover, only to do exactly the same thing as he did in sixth gear, to the point his own Secretary of the Treasury, Henry Morgenthau Jr., stated government spending doesn't work. All it did was create enormous debt. But again, the rot is never cleared. It just gets a masking, and that turns to further rot later as the state bloats into this ever-increasing larger nightmare in a loop. Look at the Democrats and their policies right now. They are a complete failure, top to bottom, in every aspect. Literally every aspect. They've not done a single thing right. They destroyed the energy sector, then complain about the price hikes of Russia and Saudi Arabia not pumping more oil. On inflation, they blame price hiking, corporate greed, and taxes, whilst they keep the money printer on 24/7 and keep spending. They complain about wages whilst they let in an ungodly amount of illegals they hope to bribe to vote Democrat as the rest of the people already citizens of the land move further red as it slowly begins to dawn on them after bloody decades as the Democrats further bleed support. While I do believe that most people don't have minds and the masses may be morons, they aren't that stupid. They can see the obviousness of missing money. They can also see that one party has brought the nation to its knees through a controlled demolition via policies that introduced nothing but disasters the previous one did not have. And I think this is how Trump broke these people's minds, because he showed what can happen if you give one person, and in Trump's case it should be far more power, and clear the clutter the hell out of the way. You need someone to run the machine that is not part of the machine, similar to what Elon is doing with Twitter. Take the reins and just wreck the ideological bloat. You need someone who can go full profit mode with a blowtorch. And I think when you get someone like Trump, who does away with the status quo, who gets government out of the way, who push for the most rational of common sense, sane policies, because he's a businessman and therefore in this case he's frankly more driven by his ego and desire to be liked for what he did for the nation rather than a cynical political game, you can see what the machine can look like and operate like lean under proper management, and any deviation from this is so utterly incompetent it defies all logic. These sociopathic Washington insiders desperately want to forget Trump even existed. Lord knows the damage he did to their game was pretty substantial. And the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the Bidens, these people, I think, are driven by an arrogance born of being in the machine for so long, they don't know how regular people actually think. And they think they're bulletproof. You can see their dismissiveness when they talk to the press. It's either you're an elitist psychopath or you're some deluded narcissist, probably both. Their entire campaign strategy is so surreal when you consider they parade Trump out like he was the most negative thing to ever hit the US political realm, yet fail to acknowledge Trump was the most voted for incumbent in all of US history, whereas Biden's actual sub-40 approval less than 2 years in, 81 million votes, supposedly. Come on, who do you think you're kidding with this? And again, all they're focused on is abortion and January 6th. I saw this brilliant cartoon, and I actually couldn't find it again. I think it had Pelosi screaming about, remember January 6th? And a few people going, oh yeah, January 6th, when petrol was $2.35. We were energy independent. I could afford food, and I had a 401k. That describes the Democrats to a damn T. And again, democracy. Stupid people run on the craziest shit in good times. Advocate for all kinds of nonsense, get into power, toe the party line, all hell breaks loose, put them on a debate stage versus reality, defending policies that are guaranteed to fail because they don't ever work, and then these plastic idiot politicians sit there and go, oh, why do we suck? What you want us to do, draw your frickin' picture? It's madness. I read their news, my lord, it is no wonder lefties are so incredibly thick. Everything is rhetoric with these people. How to sell a solution to an issue they caused that makes absolutely no sense because it doesn't address the root cause, which again is their own policies, whilst blaming the other side, who they claim will somehow make this worse, yet also do nothing, which ironically, when it comes to inflation, would actually be a viable solution. Like, seeing this kind of shit is what makes one ill-tempered when talking to someone who claims to be a Democrat, because you just assume you're talking to a tool. This is the kind of crap that drives me towards the strongman leader and away from democracy, because if you understand anything about economics and politics, you will look at all this rhetoric, the people behind it, the party, and you have to ask, why do you exist? Seriously, what is the Democratic Party's function? For all of Trump's fault, and there's a fair few of them, people can still look at him and go, that guy is undoubtedly a showboating egomaniac. But life sure as hell was a lot smoother when he was president, and I had more money. The Democrats are not a balance or check on power. They're a walking catastrophe, hell-bent on doing nothing but seizing more power. It's not a power to conserve, it's a power to destroy. There is no reason for the Democratic Party to exist other than this old-timey myth of the two-party balance. But you don't balance sense with nonsense. That makes no sense. Yeah, that makes sense. The Democratic Party is antithetical to the very concept of what America was founded on. And much like its members, it's well past the expired date and needs to be put out to pasture. And that is all for today. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.